Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new LEGO Botanical Collection set. That's going to be set number 10309, the Succulents. This 18 plus set has 771 pieces and retails for $49.99 USD or $50, making it a rather decent price per piece ratio if that's something you're into. This is the latest in the long line of, I believe, 5 different Botanical Collection sets, and is definitely my favorite, beating out the previous favorite of the bonsai tree. This set is made up of 9 different succulents, all kind of pushed together to form one giant garden, and they can of course be reconfigured or taken apart and are connected using a couple of simple red Technic pins. We're going to look at each of these succulents individually, and please do not expect me to name any of them except for the cactus-like one. I don't know any plant names, and I don't believe the set actually tells you what they are. The first succulent is a pretty basic one. It's just a very nice yellow flower. All of the pots are built exactly the same. They have 2 different Technic pin holes on all 4 sides, so you have a lot of different versatile options for connecting them at different angles or head on. The inside of the plant is made up of completely using yellow pieces, although there are a tiny bit of like green foliage leaves on the sides there. You can angle the individual leaves out a bit, but that does expose the middle center there, so you probably want to keep those closed at all times. I really like the leaf piece they use. I'm not personally familiar with this design. It looks like a really cool, nice armor piece, so I'm interested to see where LEGO chooses to use that in the future. On the inside, it's just got a slightly different colored yellow star flower piece as the centerpiece. Aside from that, though, a very basic succulent. Our second succulent is probably my least favorite of the entire set, and that's just because it's a pain to display and does not look good no matter which way you put it. My biggest gripe with it is that the underside of this plant piece is completely hollow, and you can see straight through it, and you can see the differently colored Technic connection there in that gray color. That does not work in my opinion. And while yes, you can kind of angle it down if you want, the whole thing then just kind of looks kind of out of place and loose. You're supposed to kind of have all of the spiky leaves facing upright, and then you can see the underside. And even if you kind of turn these around, like, they're all hollow. I definitely think this plant should have been made using different pieces. It's just like every way you look, unless you only look at it from a certain angle and like turn these around, like you have to do a lot of working to make sure that this looks good from all angles. And I'm personally not a fan of that. It is really nice to get all of these colors in the exclusive kind of like Hogwarts spiral color there, the nice sand green. And you can use these, I'm sure, for some really nice mocks, some monster teeth and everything. But as a plant, I don't think it really works in my opinion. This little guy is definitely one of my top favorite succulents in the set, just because it's so detailed and so pretty. I love how they have the different layers of the plant kind of moving into the center, which is very, accurate. I mean, we got like 2 different whole rows of like individual leaves, and then another row covering the cake piece on the inside there. And when you unfold it, it looks great. When you fold it up, it looks good too. I really love how just accurate it looks to an actual succulent. Like I can totally see one of these growing somewhere. It's a bit fragile just because of the sheer number of like grip attachment pieces you have to put in, but when it all comes together, it looks great. I love, again, the sand green coloring along with the lighter green before like the even paler, like opaque green. I don't know, pastel, that's the word I'm looking for. Pastel on the inside. Just the different layering of color is really, really cool. And the fact that it's at an angle, not just straight head up, is really cool too. I like how they accomplish that with the slope pieces underneath. You can put it straight up if you want and have it off center, but I really like how it's kind of tilting, kind of angled towards the sun like an actual plant would be. I really love the design. I think it's great. And then of course the black box remains unchanged from all the other ones. And there's no like pieces here that jump out that don't seem like they belong like the last one. Everything here seems kind of authentic and works, in my opinion, to make a succulent. The next plant is definitely not my least favorite in the set, but is very close to it, if not my second least favorite. Just because there's nothing much here. Like, it's a very, very basic guy. He does have some very nice, interesting plant piece usages. They use Robin Hood caps as, like, leaf designs on the bottom there, which is a really interesting design. And I love this, like, really cool drip leaf piece upside down used there. And then the cool part is you can lift this up, and underneath it is room for all the Technic pins. There are 2 extra ones that come in the set, and of course you can use those to reconfigure the set to make the longer lines, or if you have extra Technic pins when you deconnect other plants, you can lift them up and you can fit all of those inside reasonably well, and it's a really nice storage space. Aside from the storage space, there's not really much else to this plant. I really wish they had kind of made him a little bigger or flashier, or just not quite as, basic and simple, because there's really like nothing here. And, I mean, while it works, I also kind of wish there was maybe a way to anchor this in. I do like how it sets in. You can lift it up pretty easily, but it also means if you're moving it around, you can kind of get jostled or come apart. I would have preferred if there was a way to anchor that in place, It's hard to quite tell exactly what I'm looking at here, but I love this succulent. I think the giant, like, lilac shield pieces work really well for flower petals, and the way the different, like, angles layer together to form, like, a really cool outer shell design is really nice. It is a bit hard to see the interior, which is just some sand blue and then a sand green piece as well. Now, let's kind of pull up see if I can pull out some of these shells for you. So there we go. You can kind of look at the way it's designed on the inside. So it's a very compact plant. I really like that design. It's also really cool to get these lilac pieces, you know, in lilac, these pieces in lilac. I don't think they've ever come in that coloring before, so that's really new and exclusive. This is a straight up and down plant, but it has the appearance of being angled just because of the way all the shells come together, which I really, really like. And I think it's a bit tall. Like, maybe would have preferred if it was on 2 plates instead of 1 full circle tile. I think maybe the height would have been better and you couldn't see straight underneath it. And the best part is you can like reconfigure the angle of the shells here to be however you want to kind of expose more of the inside, less of the inside. It's really cool. Although I can totally see from your angle, or can't really see the top. That's a bit unfortunate, but maybe you could like part that slightly so you can from a certain angle. It's a really cool looking plant. I love the unique design for it, and the color, certainly one of the most attractive in the set. This plant might just be my favorite in the entire set. I love the design, the coloring, the spikes. He's just a perfect little cactus. The base again remains unchanged, and then the nice like dark olive green coloring is really, really cool. Very cactusy, and of course using the minion hairpiece and tan there to get some spike designs. Inspired, love that reusage there. And then on top, the coral pink to make this hugely bright bulb with all the orange offset flower pieces. That's so cool. And you can spin this too, which is a lot of fun. You know, rotates, really nice. It's also a really solid build. There's like pole connections going all the way through the center. Let's pull this off so you can see just all these pieces are connected with a pole too, so they're not just going to break when you take all the outside parts off, which is really cool in my opinion. And it's just a very attractive and unique look. It's also the tallest plant by far in the collection, so it really stands out when you put this in the back. It towers over all the other ones, and so it makes a really nice effect. You can take some of the smaller ones and put them next to it like this and still see all 3 of the plants really well. Actually a really nice configuration. That's one of the things I love about all of the Technic pins there. You can configure this to be literally however you want. You can do something like that, something like this. Like it's the options are unlimited. This is a really cool set for customization. But aside from that, this is just one of my favorite succulents in general. The colors really pop and the design is immaculate. Here we have another small green plant, but unlike the Robin Hood plant, this one is so much better. You have a very nice pink flower on top too, which offsets the coloring a bit more, isn't just plain green. And it's also like, it's bigger while also kind of being similar, like putting them side to side, they're the exact same height. This one just is so much more like filled out. And I love the different tooth pieces coming as like plant leaves around the main centerpiece. You can open this up too if you want, but I really like the look of it closed. It reminds me a lot of the Super Mario cactuses from that line, just, you know, without the all spikes and everything. The sand green dish piece underneath that everything's attached to is really cool to get in that color as well. Comes in a bunch of these succulents, honestly, because green's a really good plant color, but I just like it's small, but it's also really cute and attractive. I can't quite put my finger on why, but this is how you do a small plant right, unlike the previous iterations, which didn't really work for me. All right, almost done, I promise. This is the second to last succulent, and this one is probably my second favorite, just because, again, the coloring is immaculate, but also the design is impeccable. We use, I think, something like over 20 different egg pieces here in a very nice, like, pastel green color, which is unique. I don't think the egg has ever come in this color before, and there's just so many of them. It's just, like, so smooth and fun to little, like, touch and everything. The only problem with it is this. This is held up with one of those pin pieces, and the weight of this tends to drag down over time and it falls. I've already had to replace the piece once because for some reason it just would not stay up. This one works a bit better, but just watch out for that connection. This one is connected the same way, but you don't have to worry about that because it actually touches the base of the plant. This one's definitely, there it is again. This one's meant to be displayed like this when you see the most eggs. Looking at it from the other side, you just kind of get a spindly tower, and there's nothing really back here. So definitely this is the way to go. It's also really solid connected in the middle. There's a pole going all the way through it. It also has a ton of these superhero jump pieces in like green, which is a pretty cool color to get them in. I'm foreseeing a bunch of different like customized designs and everything you can do with that. I know Minecraft used that for sunflowers before, but it's also nice to get like 20 of them in this set, which is really cool. Again, really the reason I love this one so much is just the coloring. It's very unique. And there's a ton of really cool smooth pieces. Very interesting build technique. 10 out of 10 would recommend. The final succulent is one of my least favorite ones, which is surprising because it actually looks the best out of all of them. And that's just because of the sheer size of it. The way the leaves are made, they kind of tower over every single other plant, and you can't really put anything next to it. Like if you were to put this plant, like it kind of gets overshadowed. Back here, you can't see it. Like no plant really goes well next to this thing just because of the sheer size of it. And when you're trying to push all of these together in one set, that doesn't really work well. Also, the leaves tend to be a bit on the fragile side as they're only connected by one stud here, and they pop off very easily. Very interesting. They actually used gun pieces from the Marvel Superheroes line to connect all of these plants inward, which is really unique. Gets a really good angle on there, but I never would have imagined using guns to connect a plant together. There's also a really attractive angle here using a very cool slope piece and then just some of these Technic pieces to attach the actual like muzzle, I guess. I don't know guns well. The muzzle of the gun and then slide these onto the handle. So that's a really cool technique. But again, it also leads to the plant kind of being a bit spread out. There's only 4 different folds here. I would have liked to see maybe 6 or something, just so you have an even number of like big leaves and small leaves. Then the inside is actually built really well. I love the pyramid piece in the center there with all the other ones like folding around in it. It looks really good, and you can rotate this as you please to get different angles on it. You can kind of lift these up in if you wanted to as well. There's a lot of customability there. It's just the sheer size, again, kind of limits how you display this one compared with all the other plants. So this is the configuration that LEGO chooses to have you make after you finish building the set. It has 3 different rows of plants made during each of the bags, so you just kind of pull them apart and you get 3 different rows. However, there's a ton of other possible configurations. Like I showed you earlier, the one plant has a couple extra Technic pins inside of it, so there's a little extra connective pieces if you want to add them, or you can also like take some away and just kind of like add the extra Technic pins there to keep track of them. When you're taking it apart, do watch out. This red flower does tend to break a little bit and get a little out of whack. But these are the 3 different sections that they built for each bag 1, 2, and 3. I think this one's definitely my favorite because I love that cactus plant. So you can do some reconfigurations here. If you wanted, you could probably do like a giant line of plants along a windowsill and just have them angled. You can kind of make a little boxy square garden if you wanted to do something like this. There's a ton of different configurations. You can even like take apart the individual sections and move them around however you want. There's really no limit to what the creativity can have you do. You can put them straight together. You can angle them, offset them. It's really crazy. I'm not going to play around with this too much. Mostly I want to leave that up to you guys. I just love to see what you guys can come up with. The 18 plus box design really does wonders for this set. The vibrant colors of the plants really do pop against the black design very well. There is a bit of a green glow in the background, which is kind of odd. Not a big fan of that, but like the pinks and the oranges and the reds really tend to like pop against the black, and it stands out very well. We got the Botanical Collection logo up there, some green greebling on the bottom, which looks different than greebling I've seen for LEGO boxes in the past, so it's unique for this set, which is pretty cool. And then advertises you can have 1 to 3 different people building the set at the same time, which is a pretty unique feature of this that not many other LEGO sets have. On the top, it advertises the Botanical Collection and kind of showcases different pictures of all the plants, and then it has an actual size for the only minifigure piece besides the gun used in this set, that being the Robin Hood cat. On the back of the box, showcases some plants in like real world places, you know, like the lifestyle images, and then some real succulents that these are based off of. They did a remarkably good job representing some of these here. I can definitely recognize them. And then, of course, it shows you how you can reattach these with Technic pins, then hide the rest of them inside. Actual size for the cactus one. Really nice, and there's not too much else for this box art on the sides or anything. It's pretty basic. A very nice box. Again, the greebling is really cool, but it's nothing too special, nothing we haven't really seen before. There are 3 instruction manuals included in this set to encourage family building. That way, 3 different people can build at once, which is pretty cool. Each manual goes over how to build 3 different succulents, which is nice and kind of divvies up everything reasonably well. Inside, we have some information about succulents. It's got the LEGO pictures and then some real-life pictures. You can pause to read this if it's of any interest to you. I found it kind of cute, but nothing too cool. And then once we move on, it just kind of goes into gray printing, which I don't like. I would have preferred maybe printing on a white paper manual, but it is what it is. On the back of the box, we have just a picture of which succulents are included, with the rest kind of grayed out. And we got the parts list here for all the set. Well, a lot of really interesting, weird parts there, which is pretty cool. And then for the rest of the manuals, there's nothing too special about them. It's just got the same picture on the back, and then no advertisements or anything. Shows you how to build the whole set. And then for the final manual, again, it's nothing special. It literally just has building the succulents. No information in the front for these guys either. Overall, this set absolutely deserves a 9 out of 10 rating. This is one of the cutest and most adorable LEGO sets LEGO has made to date, I think, and will attract a ton of people who don't like LEGO. I know I bought this when I was at work over the summer, and there were so many people who saw it and were like, hey, wait, what? That's LEGO? I want that. And they were not even remotely considered LEGO fans. This is a very cute and amazing set. My only problem with it, like I mentioned before, the design configuration they want you to do makes everything a little bit too close together, and like this red plant specifically kind of overshadows some of the other ones, and they're like just feel a little cramped. I think if the plants were more spread out, it would definitely have more room to breathe and would look a lot better in my opinion. Aside from that though, excellent set. Some of the most advanced and intricate building techniques I have ever seen. I'm beyond impressed here. The parts usage is incredibly impressive. You get some really rare new recolors and just some really odd choices, like all of the gun pieces used to make that flower. It's crazy. I would highly recommend this set for any LEGO fan. Specifically, get it before LEGO decides to raise their prices in September. I haven't made a video talking about that, but prices are going up. I don't know if this is one of the affected sets, but it probably will be, considering it's $50 for 770 some pieces. So get this while you can. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to leave your thoughts about this set and what you want to see from me next in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic and safe rest of your day. We'll catch you all in the very next video.